Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Project Zomboid Survivor Broadcast. My name is Chuck Miller and I am joined as always with Ash of Zombie Ash Gaming.
Hi.
And Sam, whose YouTube channel is Nautical.
Yeah, hello.
And today's topic for discussion is Project Zomboid an easy or hard game? Potentially controversial, potentially difficult to get a consensus on this one.
Yeah.
Where should we start? Should we start with Sam? What do you think?
Yeah,
Sam? What's
sure.
your initial take on that question?
So it's very hard because it really depends on the player. And also we talked about our playstyles, and I think it very much depends on your playstyle. But I think for the average person, the main thing that I think about this game is the hardest part to get over is like the initial learning curve.
Yeah.
It's like you have to understand.
Steep, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really steep, but I feel like once you get over that learning curve, it becomes much easier. It's like for the first 2 weeks in a playthrough of mine, I'm struggling, I'm scavenging. That's where the time where the water's still on, the power's still on. You've got to get your stuff right. But after that, you can kind of just settle down into a rhythm, because that's all the game is for me at the moment. Because I play as a rhythm. I'm doing this one thing every day. I wake up, I do this, I drink, I eat, because I've got the food, I've got the water I need, I've set up everything pretty in advance. I'm living the easy life, and I only have to deal with a few zombies every 3 days at my gates, and then if I need to go out, obviously I have to fight zombies, but I'm geared to the teeth. I've got so much stuff, and I've got so much armor and stuff.
But also, you're sort of proficient in weapons as well, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's because at the start, you swing a crowbar like it's a twig.
Yeah.
But
tired
but
after
it's
many
exactly
swings.
tired after 3 swings. But
Yeah.
in with me now, when I'm long blunt level 7, it just mow through people. Well, not people, zombies. I mean,
Yeah.
it's much easier, and I feel like there's such a big learning curve. It's like I sat my friend down at the computer when he came around, and he's never touched on Word before, and he was like, "I'll give it a go," and I was giving him tips and stuff, but there was so much that I had to explain at the time for him to understand it. So at the end of it, I was like, you know what, just play it.
Yeah.
And yeah, he got mauled to death 6 times, but also it's a learning, and it's like in the trailer for the game itself, it says each death you learn from. So I'm in the belief that over time you do get better at the game, and you can survive longer because one run you may end it because you might run down a hallway and there's a horde there, and you just run into them in your lunch. So next time not to be running around inside, especially when the zone isn't cleared or there's zombies around. You just learn.
You pick it up as you go, don't you? I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like there's I'll bet you any money, and I know this will probably come back to bite me, but there is no one on their first ever run of Zomboid has survived past 3 months, or even 2 months.
More like 3 days.
Yeah. That's more like it actually.
3 months. 3 months. I mean, people listening now saying 3 months. I've never survived 3 months.
You never know. You never know.
Hours or something.
People. It's for playstyle, because it's it's like if you live out in the wilderness, you can survive out there, right? Not really. You're not thriving, but you're not.
You can clock them days up, can't you? I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Without any interference of zombies, and if there's 1 or 2 just wandering around, migrating, and maybe I was a bit over the top with 3,000, but I was just being sure, just in case there was one person in the comments going, actually, I'll have I made it to 6 months. So yeah, but I feel like there's such a learning curve, and you learn from your deaths. You learn from it.
Absolutely. I agree with that, because each death you're learning something new, aren't you? I think
definitely.
But I also think as well it's to do with the settings, because I actually saw something on the Reddit which made me think. I think someone posted, I feel bad when playing a game because I have the settings pretty much like builder settings, not that, but he changes the sandbox. And I thought back, and I think I used to have that, because when I first started playing, I'd have it so easy, just to try and like learn it and stuff like that. And yeah, I think it just gets to a point once you've died the few times, you do just get better. That's the only way, I think.
A few,
a few hundred,
a few hundred, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely think that's how you learn, definitely.
Oh, it really is. It can't, people always. It's like anything. People go into it saying, "Oh, I'm going to smash it. I'm going to be the best." You get into it and really, it just hits you like a truck. You're not. Well, the point of the game is you're not anything really special.
Yeah.
Yeah. It depending on what like your occupation and stuff. You want to pick like a police officer or something. That's not necessarily like normal as a normal person because you have some experience with, I guess, combat in the game setting.
Yeah.
And what the game says. But in a real world, if you're an electrician, brilliant, but also that doesn't stop a zombie from taking a chunk out of your neck. You've still got to like adapt to everything in the game, and it's just a learning curve. That's literally. And I just tell my friends, it sucks at the start, but just keep with it. You got to
stick with it, yeah.
Keep with it, because once you get past that initial, when the combat clicks, or when you figure out something.
Yeah,
it's
I think
amazing
when you like kind of understand the mechanics of the game as well. I think of how things work. That really helps, definitely. I see a lot of people. As a server, I was an admin on ages ago, and I'd go around and just like watch people and stuff, see how they were doing, and the amount of people, the new people to the game that would just loot everything. And then they're just overweight and they can't run, they can't even walk fast, and they can't swing the weapons. They get tired and they're just dead within 10 minutes. So it is just learning as you go. I think that's. I mean, even if you watched loads of YouTube videos, I think you need that first-hand experience as well. I think.
Oh yeah, it's like driving a car. You can watch as many videos as you want.
Yeah.
But it's the first time in your car, you're going to stall it.
Even
if you watch 1,000 videos on how to, not stall, you're going to do it.
First-hand experience.
Yes, definitely. It's so important.
I think one mistake, well, maybe it's a bit harsh to call it a mistake because it's just the way it goes. I think one common thing at the start, because it's a zombie apocalypse game and it is like a survival game, I do think a lot of people, they sort of overestimate at the beginning how many zombies you can actually take on.
Yeah, definitely.
Putting aside the nitty gritty of whether you're a fireman or whether your strength is 9 or 4 or whatever, you're probably not gonna. Your first weapon's probably going to be a frying pan or maybe even a rolling pin.
Saucepan maybe.
A lot of new people to the game, they as I said, they think it's like a slay as many zombies as you like. So you're like, there's a group of zombies, let's run over there. That's one thing that I saw a lot on servers when I was playing with people that were relatively inexperienced. They'd see some zombies and they'd run over there to them. It didn't matter whether it was 2 zombies or 20. And after the time they would like hit one and then immediately get bitten by one behind them. And it's like, and I think, as I said, a lot of people think you don't realise that you really only can take on 2 or 3 zombies right at the start, if that. And I think a lot of people get. It's part of getting used to the combat, isn't it? It's not a sort of slaughter game, really.
No.
And even when you're really proficient, you still have to be really careful about how many zombies you can take on.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So it's like in the more series I was doing. I don't know if I probably sent you a few. I sent you both a few pictures, but it's like I was leading a horde of like maybe 250 of them, because they all just trailed out the mall into the car parking lot where I was, and Jesus, it was a nightmare, actually. But also I could do that because I had the nimble skill to kind of back up because I'd done it so much, because the skills play such a massive integral part to it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, going back to what we said about, the first weapon being like a frying pan or something like that. Now, in other games, so for example, oh God, I can't think of the game now. Oh bloody hell, it'll come to me later. But any normal game, you get a frying pan, and it's a serviceable weapon. Like, you can use it fairly well in other games, or like a 2x4 or something like that, and you can slay the zombies and everything. But in Project Zomboid, them weapons are really bad, aren't they? They'll do against a couple, one at a time, but when you do have 4 or 5, they're no good at all. Really.
Oh no, not at all. It's like that. Go on. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say and I think as a new player, you see that and you're like, okay, I've got a weapon now, I can do some damage, but with their weapons you can't. I mean, even with a crowbar, until you get good at it, you can't do a lot with that either. Like we say, I think people just expect to go in like just absolutely destroying zombies, but it ain't going to happen.
And it's a weird kind of, I don't know how to say this, but it's kind of like you're not a better survivor if you have 10 times a zombie count, like kill count. It's like the game, it has a zombie death like kill count, how many zombies you killed. But at the end of the day, that is just like a number. And let's be honest, you've not even made a dent in the amount that is on the map.
No.
And your skill as a survivor isn't measured of how many zombies you've killed, right? Because you can be the best survivor ever and not kill a single zombie. It's like the pacifist runs, right? Not a single zombie killed, but they make it and they live sustainably, or they don't normally live forever because, well, it gets boring after such a while if you're just by yourself and there's no action. But they have set themselves up to live basically forever if they wanted to, with 0 zombie kills. So it's not about getting kills. It's like you're not going into the game. I mean, some people do go into the game to get kills, like on the zombies, but don't see it as like a game where you have to get zombie kills to be good at surviving.
Yeah, I think every playthrough I've done, I don't think it's ever really been about getting that the most zombie kills I can get personally. I know some people do, and they end up racking up, like you say, anyway. But it's never been my main goal yet.
Yeah,
it has just been to survive. I suppose the main thing I always aim for normally is just to get sustainable with the old cabbage going and things like that. And then, like you say, once you get there, it's smooth sailing, really, isn't it? I think.
Exactly. Well, you could have this, Terminator walking out with a crowbar, mowing down a horde of 100, going back to his base and looking in his cupboards, and there's no food, no water, no power, and he dies of just hunger or something. It's like you can be that. There's so much more to it than just zombie kills.
Yeah.
Can I just say, actually, you're saying one thing's not often, it's always mystified me talking about difficulty. A lot of what I see on message boards quite often, or when they're talking about the game and how it all rolls and what's difficult and what isn't, I see a lot of people expressing real concern about the water shut off and the scarcity of food.
Yeah,
and I don't understand that at all, right? Because every house has got at least one water source, right? So even if you were playing with water cut off straight away, which obviously you can do in Sandbox, but let's say if you were playing Apocalypse, which I would probably say if you were new to the game and you were choosing the settings, you would probably choose Apocalypse, wouldn't you? Because it kind of sounds most exciting, if you see what I mean. So with that, water cut off would be between 0 and 30 days, wouldn't it?
Yep.
But even if water was cut off straight away, there's water everywhere, right? I mean, you can get 2 or 3 draws from every sink, every bath, every toilet, in every location. I mean, there might be a lot of zombies. You might have a crap weapon, but
you can always
easily get to another location.
I'm just thinking.
I never quite understood why people would be so worried.
Because
water cut off.
I was just thinking the water dispensers, right? You can drink the 250 units of the water in there, and you can literally pick the water dispenser, shove it in your little backpack, run it to run it to the local house down the road, and just pour water into it.
Yeah.
Just place it down, and just get like a bucket or something, pour water into the bucket from the sink, and then pour it into the water dispenser, and go around every house.
Oh,
and then you've got an entire full water dispenser just take it back to your base, and it weighs the exact same.
Who can remember? Who can remember those days when the water dispensers used to weigh 5? Can you remember that?
Oh no, I
They used
can't
to weigh. Do you not
actually.
know
Hang
that?
on.
I
No,
mean, they only fixed that relatively recently.
really?
Maybe a
I
year
don't, I
ago.
don't,
Yeah,
I don't, I
they
don't think
used.
I
I'm
ever
sure they used to weigh
recognised it.
5. They used to weigh just 5.
God, what do
And
they
now
weigh
weigh
now?
30. They weigh
20,
30 now.
30 now. Oh, yeah, I
Jesus,
didn't even look
30.
anymore. It's
Anyway, we're digressing.
yeah,
I tell you what, with this
so
question,
knowledgeable.
let's put this question. I think one of the problems with answering this question is
Hmm.
Project Zomboid an easy or hard game?
Yeah.
Is it's a sandbox game,
Hmm.
so you can make it as hard or as easy as you want to. Like
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier on about choosing the builder class.
Yeah.
Some people would never ever touch that.
yeah,
That
Yeah.
as a game mode, they would find that way too boring.
yeah,
They just
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
even go there. So in a way, it's a really, well, almost impossible question to answer satisfactorily, isn't it? But what if I put the question this way? If if you were putting aside the sandbox, because the amount of options you can choose in sandbox to make it easier
Yeah.
or harder, it's totally befuddling. You could go to from one extreme to the other, and obviously, if you put mods into the mix,
Oh, God, yeah.
Endless
You can-
possibilities. You
yeah,
have.
yeah. I mean, there's
Infinite.
I see quite a
Mhm.
few people playing with was it cryogenic winter?
Yeah, we spoke about that last week, I think.
Extremely. I'm not sure what the mod is called, but extremely, or even more extremely rare loot, or something like this, or even
Yeah.
worse car conditions and things like this. So
Yeah,
you
because
can
I
make
don't
some
think
fun.
the extremely rare loot vanilla
It's
settings.
extremely rare.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's
No.
not.
But again, it's like with the water.
Yeah,
You're not going to have to search 12 houses to find one can of food, if you like. You know.
Yeah.
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 But
'Cause-
what I was gonna say is, in terms of possibly rephrasing this, is Project Zomboid an easy or hard game? In terms, if we were to think of it in terms of apocalypse, so
Yeah.
the apocalypse mode, would you say, if an average player, not talking about beginner, because I think regardless, because the combat is a bit it takes getting used to, regardless
Yeah.
of what mode you choose at the start. If you're a beginner, you're probably going to find the game a bit on the hard side, aren't you? You're going to die a lot. I think we can all
Yeah.
agree on that.
Yeah.
If would you guys say, if you were an average player, would you say apocalypse mode was easy or hard or somewhere in between? What's your take on the main sort of apocalypse mode that you can choose in the settings?
Well, I guess so. Well, Apocalypse is where I started.
Yeah, I think that I did too. As well.
Yeah, and I found it challenging because it's got loot is kind of rare, but obviously we spoke about extremely rare loot isn't really extremely rare,
Yeah.
and populations are kind of normal. They're not
Yeah, I
too
think-
bad.
I think it is actually normal on the settings for population for apocalypse.
Yeah, and I think zombies are a good balance of being because they got like different. I can't remember the actual settings off the top of my head, but it's like short sight, like the sight, hearing of them, their senses or something like that. You can like change it or like sandbox. But obviously in Apocalypse they're kind of set, and I think they're set a good amount. And I think that Apocalypse is a great place to start because it kind of that's the middle ground, I'd say.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of the middle ground where you can play it. Now, I haven't played it in a long time, so it may have changed. I don't have a word for this, but you can kind of play it and see what aspects you like of it. So, for example, you play the Apocalypse, and I don't think it's necessarily hard after a while because, like I said, you learn it.
Yeah.
You learn to play with. That's like if you play with sprinters, you learn to play the game with sprinters.
Yeah.
So you adapt to it, and I guess that comes with experience of how quickly you can adapt.
Never. I'm never doing that.
Never.
Sprinters.
Just scared.
Sprinters. This just scares me.
Yeah, I mean, I played on a multiplayer server. It was probably around this time last year. It's a proper role play server, and they had loot off completely and sprinters. And the idea was that you would build up. We was in Muldra, and you'd have businesses, and there was different levels of citizens, and each level of citizen could have a business, and it was really cool actually. But it ended up
Dedication. That is dedication.
Yeah, no, it was a really good server. It ended up closing down because the owners of it couldn't carry on or whatever, and it was sprinters on, and it was hell. But at the same time, I remember, because when we first spawned in, we all spawned in at the motel in Muldra. And there was because the server looked like they closed the server down, redid it for this massive roleplay one, and we was all spawning in the motel, and there was sprinters everywhere, and it was hilarious. But it was chaos, but I was just creasing up the whole time.
So it's like how many of you were there?
Because we was dying so often and then respawning at any one time, there was probably about between 3 to 6 of us in a group, and we just all get picked off one by one by these sprinters.
I was going to say, it's like they've just dropped you in the meat grinder and just gone, good luck.
Yeah.
And then patted you and gone, all right, off you go.
Yeah, we had no weapons. We ended up having to use planks from the doors that the sprinters had broke down. Like, we'd be like crouching around. Sprinters had come. We'd all just absolutely bolted down the road, and like we'd all it was carnage, but it was hilarious.
Sounds really fun.
Yeah, but again, the more you die, you get used to. I mean, the only safe option for that was not going out of the safe zone. That was it. Once we got to like the community centre or whatever, we kind of all stayed close to that. But yeah, sprinters are another level, definitely.
Yeah, but like you said, like my example, you adapted to it.
You
adapted to it by getting the planks off the doors. Even if that's a little thing, you adapted to it. And
definitely.
But that's because hours in the game, and it's like someone who knew might look at the door and not realize that they can pick up the planks.
Absolutely.
That is part of the difficulty. It's what you said, the steep learning curve.
Yeah.
You can play the game any way you want, really. If you want to just grab a gun, shoot a load of zombies until you die, and just rinse and repeat, you can do that. But there is a lot of depth to the game, and definitely if you learn more, the more you learn about it, the easier it does get, doesn't it? I think you mentioned in passing the sort of the moodles. I think a lot of people, especially beginners, won't necessarily understand the dramatic impact the moodles can have on your ability to fight. Definitely.
Insane, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's not, it's not as though you have like something flash up saying you are now extremely exerted or whatever it is.
Like a stamina refill bar or something like that.
It doesn't say, you've lost 80% of your ability, or you're doing 80% less damage. Nothing comes up to say that.
You don't have like a character's stats like an RPG or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. It's insane about how. So it's like it's like if you're normal and you're not like extremely tired or extremely exhausted, with a frying pan you can kill them in maybe 3 to 4 hits, maybe, right?
Yeah.
But if you are extremely tired and extremely exhausted, oh my god, you smack that thing 25 times.
Even when it's on the floor and you're stomping on it, it still takes so long.
It's like, and you're standing there thinking, if another zombie comes around that corner right now, I'm totally done for.
Yeah, it's insane. It's awful because it means that you can't run at all sometimes, isn't it? When you're like extremely, it's extremely exhausted. You can't like sprint.
Yeah, you can't. So you can barely just walk.
As if you're playing with sprinters.
And I think you have to have. I think it's level 4 sprinting to even be able to run faster than sprinters. I think I might be wrong on that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I think it is something like that to comfortably be ahead of them. Because I think they can catch up and try and bite you if you.
I don't think you can ever be comfortable, really.
No.
You'll run away from 3, you turn a corner, and there's 6 there.
Yeah. They're an absolute nightmare. But they're intense, absolutely. But again, I think it's all to do with the settings, isn't it? Because I remember when I started playing and to learn it, like even the things like the helicopter.
That was so scary at the start.
Yeah, and I mean, like I used to like be absolutely well. To start with, I used to just turn it off. I always had it on never, and then I had it on, and I'd always be worried about it. But then now I just stay indoors. 'Cause if you stay indoors, it won't see you if you're indoors when it comes, so you're fine. So you just got to stay indoors from like day 5 to 8 or something, 5 to 7, just to be safe. But yeah, that's terrifying when you first start. I think
the first time. Oh
well, again,
my God.
if you were new, you wouldn't really know what's going on. You wouldn't.
You'd be like, oh, it's a helicopter.
The ramifications. You'd be like, oh, what's that? What's that? And you go outside, and there's like, what the hell? Why is there like 50 zombies?
It's always the meme of why? What are they doing? Just like, oh, there's a survivor, let's circle them and bring all the zombies.
Yeah.
Hang on, you think that? Never mind, go away.
The law is though they're supposed to be like be helping you, aren't they? Because I think they're supposed to be proving that there's a survivors in the exclusion zone. I think like
they're looking for survivors.
They're trying to help you, but they're not.
It's like maybe if you were like an extra 500, 600 meters up, maybe. But like you can see their shadow go across sometimes, and it looks as if they're literally like 30 meters off the ground.
Yeah,
it's like a massive spotlight. Like here's dinner.
Yeah,
basically, yeah.
Have you tried the extended helicopter event?
Oh
Mark?
my God, yeah.
I tried it a couple of times.
I did it, and it's really fun. It's like you can get there's a few funny ones, but there's one, and I actually have a video of it on my channel. And it's where I'm just working on the car, and I see the little icon, and I'm like, oh God, here we go. And it comes past, and it's playing this music, and I can't remember what the music's called. Hang on, I'll get it up real quick because I got a copyright claim for it.
Oh really?
For like 3 seconds of it. I was like, oh God damn it. Yeah. Let me just quickly see because it should be here somewhere. Yeah. Oh, it got removed. Never mind.
Oh,
never mind. Fair enough. I can't remember the actual song for the life of me, but
yeah, that's a crazy mod, really.
It just kept playing music and it was circling me, and I was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?"
Is that the one that they sometimes like shoot firearms at you and things like
that?
Yeah.
I've been shot at before.
But it can also do supply drops and things.
Drops, yeah. I had one that was just toilet paper in there, I think.
Yeah.
So great.
I've got a good story about that actually. A little bit. I'd come back to my friend when he played it. You know the toilet paper house.
Yeah.
Where everything's over. The first house that I showed him, or where he ran into, was the toilet paper house, and it was so funny because I had to explain to him, no, not every house has toilet paper in it. This is like an Easter egg meme house that you've unluckily got because it was
I think they're gonna take it out. I think or reduce the frequency of it. I think or something.
I literally saw that in the patch notes. I remember someone complaining about it on
people were
Reddit.
booting off about it on the Reddit, weren't they?
Why would you complain about that? You can use the toilet paper for fuel. For
barbecue.
You know, you can everything you can find, you can put a use to, right?
Put a use, yeah.
Maybe not toothbrushes or toothpaste. But...
Yeah.
Hang on.
One day.
So, they've limited the amount of survivor safe houses. This means that toilet paper storage is now disabled in buildings that are over 10 rooms.
That's it,
and then at the bottom it said, which would likely reduce the amount of Reddit posts by 50%.
You know
which
what
I think it's the opposite.
What I really find funny with the toilet paper things is you'll have somebody who's quite new to the game or not been playing it that long, and they post in Reddit, oh, I found this house and it's got all this toilet paper, and what's all that about? Weird. Like they're the first person to ever find it.
Yeah. There's a controversial one, multi-hit. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, see, go on.
No, you go first. You. I need time to calm down.
You let me. Okay, I'm gonna say it controversial. I don't know what you feel like, but I quite like it. Right, because I deal with a lot of hordes. That's like my main source of entertainment out of the game with hordes, right? And now I might get crap for that, but I find it fun, and it's really I turned it on when I first started,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, me too.
I've never really turned it off because I'm always dealing with zombies.
Yeah.
And it's like with my mortar, I would not been able to really done it efficiently as well as I did without it. And also, if you've got a massive crowbar and you're swinging it across three zombies' faces, it might do some damage.
Yeah.
Maybe if they balanced it by making it do less damage.
Yeah, I think that would be realistic. Because I've often thought, okay, I probably would hit a couple, but would
Yeah.
it do full damage?
Yeah,
What about you, Chuck?
here we go.
Well, obviously, the one thing we've got to acknowledge, right, is
Yeah.
it's a sandbox game. We've sort of touched on it indirectly, but you can basically, we sort of touched on this concept indirectly.
Yeah.
But you can basically play the game however you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would always step back from overtly criticizing anybody for choosing a way.
Here we go.
Like, if they want to play builder and just stay in the woods and build a nice house and fill it with some nice black and white tiles in the kitchen and pretend they're in The Sims.
The Sims, yeah.
That's fine. Because they're having fun. Because, that's why we play video games. Right?
Yeah,
to have fun, for enjoyment. But, I mean, multi-hit is excellent for people that are new to the game, for sure. I'm not saying once you become experienced, you should turn it off, because it becomes part of the way you play. If you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think definitely, when with multi-hit, if you see somebody posting on message boards or Facebook or Reddit or whatever it is, this game, I find this game really hard. The combat's really difficult. One of the first bit of advice anybody with experience will give them is, have you turned on multi-hit?
Yeah.
So it definitely helps people. And the thing is I suppose I'd have to say, I would probably categorize it as, it does make the game easier in terms of fighting.
Yeah,
hordes.
it does.
But I think a more fair way to say it would be that it makes it just changes the experience. Because I don't play with multi-hit, and it's not necessarily because I think multi-hit is easy. It's just I turned it off. I feel more comfortable playing without it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying can't really put it into words, but I mean, without multi-hit, the other side of the coin. I mean, you were talking about multi-hit making it more realistic because you're just swinging a sort of crowbar.
But then at the same time, would you be able to? That's the thing. I
don't know. But without multi-hit, even with a very, very high proficiency in a weapon, unless you are using a katana
I
or
was about
a
to say
long
that.
blade with a very, very high skill, you can still easily get overwhelmed by 5 or 6 zombies.
Yeah.
If you're not pushing at the right time, or
Oh,
if you're not sort of kiting well, or just walking off at the right time, you can easily get it. And so with multi-hit, you sort of negate that, really, in a way. So it's just, I wouldn't
definitely.
say it makes it necessarily. I think it makes it easier for new people to learn combat. So that's always one of the number one bits of advice.
Yeah.
Finding combat hard, enable multi-hit. Because there's always a lot of zombies, unless you really are in sandbox and you've gone low and you've got no respawn because you just don't like fighting zombies. There's always a lot of zombies, isn't there? Eventually you will run into a group of zombies.
Yeah.
And you can easily get overwhelmed. So multi-hit, if that's what you want to do,
Absolutely.
Go for it.
I mean, I would normally play with. Well, I have done so many playthroughs with multi-hit. My most recent one, I haven't, and I found it's good in a way because it's made me change it up because I'm playing with short-bladed weapons now because they're only they can't multi-hit even if multi-hit was on. So yeah, it's quite interesting to try it that way. But I think, normally I would have multi-hit on. I've like you said, I've always used it and always played for it. I remember I watched, I think it's your first episode, Chuck, of Chuck Miller Plays, And I think you said, no, multi hits off, how you should play it or something.
No,
it wasn't that exact, but
he's calling me out on it. Oh man, I've been rumbled.
That's why I knew it would be controversial when I mentioned it. But it's definitely the harder way to play it, and like you say, if you what should happen? It should be in the decision of the devs, really, shouldn't it? It should be made.
No. It's in the decision of the player. It's in the decision of the player.
Well,
the reason I turned multi-hit off is I wouldn't say I'm amazing at this game, but I just found multi-hit too easy. It made the combat for me feel too easy. That's why I turned it off.
Well, the thing is, actually, go on. I was going to say. I like to balance that out by adding having a higher zombie count.
Definitely, that I was thinking that earlier on. You can balance any if you choose settings in the game in the sandbox to make it harder, you can try and balance it out.
Yeah.
By adding some things that make it easier.
Yeah, so like for sprinters, for example, you could have bites only, or no infection from bites, or.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, you can have because a couple of sprinters they can drag you down, and that's game over. But if one of them sneakily gets you with a scratch, you can turn infection off. So that could be a good way of balancing that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What about zombie respawn? What are both of your thoughts on that?
I've always been a hard turn that off. Get that thing off. Get it off, because there's an entire system which counters this, which is the migration system. They will automatically move around the map to fit in the gaps, or not necessarily, but if you make a shit ton of noise somewhere, zombies are going to migrate through, and you can.
Not unless you've killed every zombie for 20 cells around.
That would be something else in itself, I think. But yeah, I just turn it off because, I've cleared this building. Geez, brilliant. Well done me. I walk back in there 7 days later, and there's 3 zombies chilling in the bathroom. And I'm
rip in peace.
How have you got in here? So I always turn it off because I like to aim for realism. My game.
It is more realistic, I think. And you get a sense of achievement, I think, as well, don't you?
Oh, definitely. It's like my entire mall series was about clearing the mall, and if respawns were on, it'd be completely full again now. But yeah, I mean, that's just my kind of take on it. And I mean, you can play them on if you like, but
yeah, my preferred would be respawn off. I only kind of have them on if I'm doing like a YouTube series or something, and that's just to keep it a bit interesting. That's the only reason. Like, ideally, every playthrough I would have would be respawn off. For the same reasons that you said, Sam. What about you, Chuck?
Yeah, no, we actually agree on something. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
No, we agree on lots of things. No, I always do respawn off. I think having that respawn was the main nuisance for me. That was the thing that drove me. Well, not drove me. That was the thing that made me try sandbox away from the main game modes. Was not having respawn.
Yeah.
But I think with a lot of these things we're talking about, it really feeds into what dictates your viewpoint and how you go with things. It's all down to play style in a way. Because I think for me, I want to survive as long as possible. I get way too attached to my characters.
Yeah, me too.
So, I don't want to come home. I don't want to get back to a base after feeling like really tired and really in a really vulnerable position character-wise, and there to be a group of a dozen zombies back at my base where I just spent the previous 3 hours clearing it out. And
exactly.
Respawn is just annoying for that reason, really.
Yeah, but, definitely.
As I said, a lot of the things, what I'm trying to say is, it all depends on what you choose in settings and stuff in terms of making it what you perceive as hard or easy. It will be sort of driven a little bit by your play style. It's because some people, they want to go around, they want to slaughter as many zombies as possible. They're not interested in growing cabbages. or any of that sort of stuff.
The good
or
life.
learning. Yeah, well, yeah. They want to go out there. They want to clear the area of zombies. They want the adrenaline rush. They want the close calls. They want the scratches, the escaping through the window while there's 12 zombies just right on your ass.
Calling me out.
And yeah, no. And sometimes you'll get away, and sometimes you'll die.
Yeah.
But that sort of play style, that's completely anathema to me. I want to survive as long as possible. I want to, have a nice base, develop all my skills, and I do actually like a nice big kill count. And I will, when I get into a really late game and I'm really proficient at one or two weapon types, I really, really enjoy slaughtering, 100 plus in one zombie day in melee. But I think a lot of people, what people see as maybe is hard or easy, is dictated by their play style.
Definitely. Yeah. It's just the way you play it, really. So you can play with sprinters, but never have a problem with them if you play around them.
So I've got a question about sprinters. Right? I mean, have you both played with sprinters?
Yes.
So what sort of zombie count do you choose on that? Do you go low or?
I keep it normal.
Normal, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I just assumed you'd have to have it low because they're sprinters.
Yeah, I'm not that brave. On the server I played, I'm not sure. I think the population was low. I think maybe. But my one that I've done with the random zombies, I set that to low, but uniform, so they could be anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't go normal on sprinters. Maybe that's an idea for another playthrough.
Well, I mean, I want to clarify that I didn't survive long. Maybe a week max. I think I did it like a few years ago.
But yeah, they are just they're mental, really.
Tell you what, guys, is keeping it within the easy hard discussion of this game. Let's put another question in there in that sort of area. If you were a new player or inexperienced, that's not necessarily a complete beginner, what would you? Because we sort of touched on it with the multi-hit. What would you recommend to a new player or newish player to make if they're finding it hard, they're dying.
Yeah,
they didn't like that.
Right.
What would you recommend to them as
I've got one thing
to do?
Go on, you go, Sam.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. Might be the same thing, but get those combat outlines on.
Yes, get the outlines on. Yeah,
it's such a help.
Yeah, I use them now.
For melee though, do you need that for melee? Really?
I mean, I could probably be okay with it off now, but I just keep them on. Just because why not? Yeah.
I mean, I still swing too early sometimes.
Oh, I do that.
I don't register it as a when to hit. I register it as am I aiming for this zombie? Because you know how sometimes it can be where you can swing and it will just completely miss and go for something else. But with this, you can really kind of pick out which zombie you want, or it tells you which zombie you're going to hit, so you can prepare to fight the next one.
Yeah.
But that's the number one thing I would recommend.
Definitely. And probably multi-hit like we've gone over.
I
think there's
no helicopter. Definitely
no helicopter. I mean, there's a couple of mods. Don't want to go too much into mods, but I know health bars on zombies really helps me.
Yeah, you can get like the little damage counters.
Yeah, and the display bars for the stamina and stuff. Like they was such a... I mean, I don't use them anymore, but they were really helpful, I think, when I first started getting used to it. And so, yeah, definitely them. And a lot of people don't know about the outline, do they? They don't realise you can use it for melee. But that is so helpful as well, definitely.
It really is. I also want to talk quickly about the traits. Me and you, Ash, we talked about this last time, but keen hearing.
Yes.
Oh my God, does
keen
it save
hearing.
you? Keen hearing is the thing.
What does that actually do? Because I've never played.
Okay, so it's like behind your character you have like a little radius, right, which your character can kind of sense.
Yeah.
That is 4 tiles big. With keen hearing, you can see 6 tiles, and with 6 tiles, you can efficiently turn around and be prepared to fight that zombie as well.
You got plenty of time. Even if you're tired, you got plenty of time to get the hell out of there if you need to.
Yeah.
It gives you more time to see the zombie behind you.
You can see him from further away.
Yeah.
So it gives you a lot more time to react to it.
So useful.
You basically haven't got to worry about him sneaking up behind you, because by the time you see him, you've got plenty of time to just run out of there or turn around, push him, whatever. Keen hearing, definitely. Yeah. Get that on your... I think it cost 8 trait points, I want to say.
I think it's 8 or 6.
It's definitely worth it, though. 100%. Get that locked in.
It's so easy, to see stuff. Because, God, the amount of times where I used to get, I used to get pulled down from behind because there was, a zombie behind me.
Yeah.
And I just hadn't noticed because I was tunnel visioning on people in front.
Yeah, it's easy to get focused. That makes sense, doesn't it? You get focused on what's in front of you because that's the immediate threat.
Yes, it really is.
No,
definitely.
I mean,
any other tips from anyone then?
I think, mine, in regards to builds and stuff, character builds, it would be, me personally, just if you're going I use the same build for whatever playthrough I'm going through most of the time, unless it's a specific playthrough, and that's, you focus on your fitness and strength, get them as high as you can, because they take so long to grind. You want to get them, and some of the negative traits that are 3 points really, I think it's bad eye, where you can't bad eyesight. I can't remember what the trait's called. Weak stomach. I think we went over them on the first episode or last episode maybe. But yeah, it's picking the right traits, I think, as well. I would say.
Well, I've just looked up because I don't want to miss anything. I don't want to miss anything major that just looked at some general combat tips, just because I don't want to miss anything major. And I've just seen something about charging your swings.
Oh yeah.
Oh right.
I did not know that.
No.
But it apparently says that a charged swing does more damage and it knocks a zombie down more often.
How do you even do it? Is it hold the button?
Yeah, you just hold it for longer and then swing normally.
Do you know what? I'll be
honest,
I did not know that. No.
I think that's part of the problem with this game. I mean, it's not necessarily a secret, but because you've got the wiki, you've got the internet. But if you just jump in and just play without really wanting to spend ages, I mean, who's going to spend 2 hours reading a wiki before you go and play a game? If you do just jump in, none of that stuff. It's like you said earlier. You don't get anything come up and saying, "Oh, because you're exerted, you've got 80% less damage hit stuff." I mean, I didn't. I don't think I've heard that. No, but one thing I saw recently from a guy on YouTube called Trombonaut, is he was talking about he was talking about the different range. If you get in terms of melee weapons, obviously, I think I don't know about ranged weapons, guns, but definitely with melee, there's definitely a sweet spot with the range. If you get the range right with that particular weapon you're using, you will do more damage and you will do more critical hits and more kills. I definitely think that's true.
I think it's there was one thing. It's kind of similar to hitboxes when they're on the floor. I know a YouTuber did a video. It may have been I'm going to get his name wrong, but
Ratanaru,
I think it was him. So if you actually when you stand on the stomach of a Zed when they're on the floor and do a hit, it's actually hitting their stomach, because it auto aims on their legs, body, or head, depending on where you're stood. So you need to stand on their head, and it looks like you're hitting above it, and that will actually be a critical head shot.
I saw that,
which is really interesting. And I tested it since, and it really does work. But yeah, it's mad. I mean, that's 1,000 hours I've got in it, and there's just so that charged swing. I had no idea about that.
Honestly, I think it's because I just haven't noticed. I don't have any damage indicators on, and I've got such a high proficiency in my long blunt. I don't think I'd notice a difference.
Because you're just taking them down regardless.
I'll definitely try that, because that sounds really. I want to know how more efficient a charge swing is, though. because if it does like 5% more damage, I'd rather just smack twice quicker.
Yeah, because it could use twice as much stamina potentially.
Yeah.
As well, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't necessarily, in terms of combat and interaction with zombies, you wouldn't really be able to use that as a viable tactic, because if there's one zombie, then you can sort of take your time hitting them.
Yeah.
You see,
Push them over.
You'd naturally almost do a charged attack, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had two or three, you haven't got the time to.
It's funny you say
and
that.
then have a break and then hit again. You would just hit them.
Because we could be charging without even realising we're charging, waiting for them to...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Waiting for that outline to show and then swing away.
Yeah.
Especially if you're, doing it right and you're sort of backing up as you hit, right? So...
The nimble skill is so important.
Yeah,
like,
see, the nimble.
Quick.
The nimble. I think, what is it, level 4? And you can backpedal faster than they can walk. See, I've never had a high nimble skill. I've never started with it or been able to get to that level because it always takes so long, I find.
Yeah, something you can do, which isn't exactly it's not exactly realistic, and it's kind of a bit more of a kind of a cheat to get to it. Not like cheating or hacking, but what you can do, it's you get more XP the amount you get. So basically, if you're sneaking, your XP, you get more XP if you're sneaking near more zombies.
Yeah.
So like you can gather you can gather a horde below you on a floor below,
right,
and just walk around on top above them. And you'll generate nimble, or you'll generate sneaking or stuff and stealth. A bit of a
an
crappy
exploit,
kind of way.
An exploit.
Yeah,
but I mean, it takes so bloody long to do it. It's probably like the slowest, other than the strength and fitness. It's probably the slowest gaining skill.
Yeah, it is hard considering you do that. You feel like you do it all the time.
Yeah. You're doing it all the time. But yeah, because I've noticed the sneak skill's gone up, and I think I've seen a YouTube video on it actually. But I don't normally tend to sneak too much.
Depends, really.
Yeah, all depends on the situation. I think as well for new players, what I think they forget is they run everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Where
that's
you can walk. If they're normal zombies, even fast shamblers, I think you can walk faster than them anyway. And a lot of people run around and they're exerted, and that's a major pitfall for new players, I think.
I mean, I think everyone's in a rush all the time. It's like you can run, and well, first off, if you run more, the more calories you lose for you lose weight quicker.
Yeah.
Not that weight really has a big, massive impact. I think it does actually, doesn't it? If you get over 100 or under 70 something.
I think it's under 75, you can be knocked over easily, and you do like 25% less damage, I think. I may be wrong, but it's something I'm not sure about overweight, so I always go underweight. Something like that.
That's another thing I see with like trait debates, underweight or overweight, and there's just no debate in my book. Why would you ever go overweight? Yeah, because it takes so long to lose weight.
I think you can lose a pound a day, but you can gain 3 pounds a day, something like that.
Yeah, well, there you go. You see,
it just makes no sense. I think.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I am on the underweight side, right? But I'm going to say, at the start of the game, you can starve yourself, right, and lose that weight very quickly. And you can hoard food.
If you starve yourself, then you lose carry capacity, you lose
strength as well.
I'm trying to think of an argument.
Why?
Underweight for the win.
Because it's more interesting when one of us disagrees with it.
So you're saying we have to disagree on everything?
No. I'm just saying now. It's like you lose weight slower, but it means that you're not eating as much, so you can hoard more.
I think
especially
for
if you don't,
a 6 months later playthrough, where it's winter and food is going to be short, possibly even for a CDDA challenge. But then at the start, I mean, have you tried that? The CD.
No, I've never.
But
I've
I
seen a
want
lot
to.
of people try it on.
Yeah, I've
It's
tried
like
it
a thing.
a
It's like
couple
a
of times.
rites of passage, isn't it? In a way.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tried it a couple of times. I'm meaning to try it again, but yeah, I've tried to figure out the optimal build for it with foraging and stuff, but it wasn't that. Yeah, I just couldn't get the hang of it. I ended up dying. But yeah, I do want to try it. I give it a proper go, but it is tough, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. You go on.
No, go on. You were going to finish.
Oh, I was going to say about the that challenge, right? You struggle at first because you're chucked into the situation, which is very different to your normal playthrough, right? So that's very hard for you at the start, right? But then if you go back and play back to your normal thing, that's not as hard, so it's easier.
What I thought was really hard as well is you start with a cold. Now, I always take outdoorsman, so I don't think I've ever had a cold in one of my playthroughs. So having to deal with that I'm not used to, and the Z count is like the population is so high on it. Like having that cold, it just absolutely ruined me. Like, I don't know what to do with it. Like,
sounds like you didn't last very long.
I think I lasted like 4 days or something. Because there's but it was so the strategy is you go north because you start in Mordred, you go north to a farmhouse, and then from there you can go other places. But I was in the farmhouse. I had this cold; it wouldn't go. I went down south to try and find a needle and thread to stitch it because you start with a deep wound in your leg. So I went back. I was like, "Oh, the zombies are all burnt up in the house." Got down there; they were still roaming around. The fire was still blazing. I was like, "Oh, I'll just take them round in circles and like burn them all." But yeah, it didn't end well. You just get too tired and you can't walk fast because you got the injury. It's just it's a nightmare. But I will have another attempt at it, and I'll see how I get on.
But
sorry, hang on.
I was just very quickly. I was going to quickly say, it's like we said earlier, though. I'm sure that was a learning experience, right? You learned something from that death.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I thought the next time I'm just going to just try and burn them all at the start while I've got the energy.
Never do that challenge ever again.
It was actually I was actually recording it for a YouTube, and it ended so badly, and I was so angry. I was like, "No, delete it, never again. I'm not trying that for another 6 months or whatever." But
no, I was just saying how I think it'd be pretty fun if we all did that and we all recorded it. I think that'd be really funny to do, considering the struggles that come with it, and then having 3 of us like that.
Yeah, that would be quite funny, I reckon.
Fighting over the last bandage.
Some dirty old rag off a zombie.
Yeah, God.
Infections.
That's always like it.
Cut up feet.
Oh God, it's like the new way to level up medical medicine skill. It's just to walk over glass with your bare feet and just stand. I'm like, oh my God.
It's such a pointless skill, though, isn't it? I can see potential for it, what will come, but at the minute it's a bit handy in multiplayer, I suppose. But I mean, you normally die, don't you, if you're that badly injured?
I would definitely. I mean, I mustn't. This is going off in quite a segue, really. But I would really like to see the devs rebalance some of the skill progressions.
I think we'll see a lot of that in the next build, won't we? I think.
Well, maybe. I mean, it's difficult because it's such. You try and balance one thing, and it's so easy to cause an imbalance somewhere else. Maybe so it's probably a lot easier said than done, perhaps, which is perhaps why it's not there. But you touched on the first aid thing. Electrical. There's not really much point in doing that.
No, I tell you what they should implement. I know there's a mod for it, but for the love of God, let us use generators at electrical free or something instead of how to use generators.
Yeah.
It's just
because for me that sort of thing, that is a sort of a a Project Zomboid meme thing. It's like a typical Zomboid experience. You can't find that one thing.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about sledgehammers, but it could potentially be anything. A skill book or a skill magazine. Or even a flipping cooking pot. I think I spent months and I never came across one cooking pot. By that time, it didn't matter. But
I think the how to use generators one though does frustrate a lot of people.
It does,
because if you're it's so frustrating because if you're stuck somewhere, Rosewood for example, I've been in a Rosewood playthrough, no generator, and then I've got no fuel, and I can't fill the fuel up in a car because I've got no generator to then. I can't get to another town to get the how to use generators because I don't. It is a bit frustrating. I know you can use generators if you take the electrician profession, I think, can't you? But then. Who the hell's going to take that? It's not. What does it give you? How to use generators in a couple of levels in electrical, which is pointless, really.
Exactly. It's like I mean, bit different from that, but I also want to touch on two other topics about this kind of the game being hard, right, or easy. I always like to look on Reddit, and I want to say I love the support that people give on Reddit for players starting. It's like I survived my first week, and in the comments of it, everyone is just congratulating them and stuff because everyone's been there.
We all remember that.
Your first week, you're like, yes, look at that, I've done that, and people are always on there to there's like people have written essays and dissertations on like your first day, and I'm like. I mean, not everyone has the time to read all that, but there's so much out there to help people. Basically, we're still learning stuff. Like I didn't know there was a charged, weapon swing. Where does that come from?
Part of the problem with the game being in development is things change as well, don't they? I probably do things in my playthroughs or whenever I'm playing that it'd be like my behavior might be based on something that is completely irrelevant now because the devs have changed it and they're completely oblivious to it.
Well, a bit like the water dispensers.
I mean, I'm still not even sure. I haven't tried because you can now fill petrol, like bottles up with gas.
You can.
Which is handy, but I've never actually done that. And I think I tried it once and it wouldn't work, so I was like, nah. I can't handle the change. No, just give me a jerry can.
Just set in your ways.
Yeah.
And
No. I was just gonna say the next big update will be a shock to the system. I think for a lot of people.
It definitely will. And I think we are going to talk about our thoughts on Build 42 sometime. Not sure when, but we will cover that because there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And who knows if we're even going to be able to fit it in one episode.
Maybe a two-parter.
Maybe a special one.
Yeah.
Definitely one other little point that I wanted to make that I kind of almost forgot in terms of the central topic. Is it hard or is it easy? We talked about the people who are new to the game finding it difficult, but I think definitely at the start, when you start a new game, whether you're amazing or completely new, it's definitely hard. It's hardest at the start, isn't it? Because you haven't got good proficiency in any weapon skills, so you're rubbish at combat. You might not have been able to find a decent weapon yet. So as we said, you're using frying pans or even bloody rolling pins or something. And obviously, there's
no
more
beta blockers.
I've never tried a spoon. I've never tried that. But I have tried a pencil.
Spoon their eyes out, I guess.
But also, there's a lot of zombies, regardless of whether there's respawn or whatever. If we're talking about one of the main vanilla game modes, there's a lot of zombies at the start because you haven't killed any yet. So I think definitely at the start it is hard, and obviously if you're new to the game, it's sort of super hard, isn't it? And I think maybe a lot of people are sort of put off maybe with the game because it is just too hard. Well, not too hard, but it's the game is at its hardest, shall we say? It's at the start.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, my main bit of advice would be, I think, to new players is just go into sandbox mode. go as easy as you can just to get used to it, how everything
Just take it
works.
slow.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say. I mean, get your outline on and multi-hit, keen hearing. But yeah, just get used to it, I think. That's
Yeah.
the main thing.
And as like a broad statement, if I was asked that question, is it hard or easy? I would definitely go, if you are an average player and you have all the stuff you need within the first 2 weeks, those 2 weeks are the hardest, as Chuck said.
Yeah.
But I find as it goes on, it gets way, way easier.
Yeah.
So I would actually go with the fact that it's an easy game with an extremely hard learning curve.
Yeah.
Because there are
Easy
so many
game.
ways to survive. Well,
He said it was an easy game. Controversial.
God.
I can't agree with that. Obviously, you can make it easy, but I think if you were playing Apocalypse, because we can talk forever about sandbox and all the different things you can choose to make it easier or harder. And obviously, the great thing with the sandbox, if you play it and you're finding it too easy, you can choose things in the sandbox to make it harder. And conversely, if you're finding it too hard, you can choose things to make it easier. But with Apocalypse, if you're playing Apocalypse, I would say it's a hard game, personally.
Yeah.
That's my personal.
I think with Apocalypse, I would say it's a tough one. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would say it is a hard game. It gets easier.
Yeah.
The more you know, but that's like everything, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. It's like I want to stand by my statement that it's an easy game, but it's for me it's neither. It's really hard to say because it's all about circumstance. It's all about how your play styles, your traits. There's so many different moving variables, which can be introduced to it, which just completely mess up my thing. Because if I'm saying, oh, it's an easy game, and you're playing with sprinters and stuff, you're going to be like, that's not easy. But if you're playing with the slowest zombies who die in one hit from a spoon, it is easy.
Yeah. I mean,
But
you could even
it depends on you.
in a house with a duffel bag, a couple of crowbars, can't you?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
going to make it a lot more, a fire axe or something. That's going to make it
But I just
a
think
lot easier.
it just depends on the person and the settings and everything. And that's where I would try out Apocalypse, see what you like. Like Chuck said, I didn't like the respawns. So I looked at Sandbox, and on Sandbox, I've never looked back.
Yeah. Sandbox is the main one for me. I think that's how I play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely.
it's titled Tailor to your needs or experience, isn't it? Or something.
Yeah. I think so.
It is a tricky one though, because there's so many different options.
Yeah,
you can make the experience completely different. With things like I can't remember what it's actually called, but like the keen hearing equivalent for zombies, or
Pinpoint
bloodhound style.
Yeah,
I mean,
I should probably know this. I made a video.
I played on a multiplayer server, and they couldn't decide on what they wanted the options to be. So you'd log on one week, and they'd have bloodhound, but they would have really bad eyesight or something.
That's the thing.
Really good hearing and really bad eyesight, and the way you'd interact with the town and the zombies that are there was just completely different. Completely different.
Yeah, because I've seen it in servers where like one half will want the certain kind of zombie, the other half will want the other. Like the people are just they like
There's always that crazy person that wants the sprint.
Sprinters high pop,
best sight, best hearing. Best navigation. They can use doors.
Yeah, use doors.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I would like that though. Like a round. No, like a. I don't want the game to become like a. There are special zombies like some like game like Dying Light, but a zombie which kind of regains or has some motor functions when it comes to remembering something. So like, they have a chance at opening a door if they stand by it for so long.
Yeah, there's got to be a mod for that.
It would make it interesting.
It would. Yeah, like a random zombie
it's like
knowledge or something, I suppose.
yeah, it's like I won't
Ability.
spoil it, even though it's season 1, episode like 2 or 3 or 1 of The Walking Dead. But if you remember the person that comes, the lady that comes to the door and she's a zombie and she like wobbles the door handle.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yes, it's the wife right at the start.
Yeah.
Not Rex.
Morgan's
Yes,
wife.
yeah. And she wobbles as if because that was her house and she was used to that.
Yeah, because I think actually it was just going about Walking Dead because they changed the writers, didn't they? Because originally was it Frank Darabont was the original writer? Is that
Rings a bell.
He originally planned for the zombies to be smarter because I think in season 1 you actually see them climbing over a fence as well.
In the later seasons, they are now.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah, they're kind of coming back.
Right, and I think he left after season 2, so they kind of went back to traditional zombies. But yeah, it's interesting that they're coming back. I do need to get back into The Walking Dead. Anyway, I've gone on about Walking Dead. Where was we? Yes,
Good question.
we were arguing. Well, we're arguing, disagreeing,
debating
whether it was an easy or a hard game.
Yeah,
but we got 2-1 in favour of hard, haven't we?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go hard. I think to the average.
I want to say it in the middle. I want to say the middle.
Yeah, well, we see he's coming back from his easy now. He's
you know, I'm staying with easy now. I'm staying with it. I will die with easy. I always go, it's the hardest game for the new players, but once you get the hang of it and you've got to pass the learning curve, it's quite easy, especially if you are self-sufficient and never have to leave your compound.
Yeah. I think, like you said a bit earlier on, if you can get through the first couple of weeks, it does. Unless you've got some crazy options in a sandbox, if you're playing one of the main sort of modes,
I think
once you get through the first couple of weeks, I think
if you can make it past the helicopter, I think that's because the helicopter can be an end of a run right there, can't it?
Oh, it definitely can. It's like especially at the start, if you don't know, it's like we talked about earlier. New players will go up and see if they can bloody see the thing.
Yeah. Maybe it'll send me supplies.
Yeah, exactly. But that's why expand the helicopter mod is good, but also it's a bit annoying sometimes.
Oh, they're like, I've completed the game. The helicopter's here to rescue me.
No, 7 days. Let's go.
Yeah,
I've made it.
Yeah. But
I'm dying by easy.
Yeah. No, we'll go hard. We'll go 2-1.
I'm gonna get ripped apart in a debate, but
coming out. It's an easy game.
Well, there needs to be a bit of,
That's controversial.
Now I'm poking him too much on it. I think I'm going to upset him. Well, I think we're going to have to call it time for today's episode. Definitely. Clearly we could carry on for another 3 hours.
I said I'll die by this. I will argue this to the death. I will even make up stuff.
I'm not necessarily saying you're out. You're definitely completely and utterly wrong, because once you get through the first couple of weeks, I think it can become easy.
Yes.
I mean, the main thing I do, I've got to be brief because we need to finish. The main thing I do after a couple of months, because again it's my play style, I like to have a really nice base. The thing I'll do after a couple of months is I will drive around the map and to go to unique locations just to get specific things that I can put in my base. Particular flooring or the old jukebox and the pool pinball machine. That's what I do, and it's kind of like, well, that's clearly too easy at that point. If that's what you're doing,
literally driving around picking up game machines and stuff.
Yeah,
you get up, start the day, and you decide, I'm just going to clear out the whole of West Point.
Yeah, exactly.
Next challenge,
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, guys, that was a lot of fun as usual.
Yeah.
Again, we did an excellent job of going off topic.
As always. That's the real goal.
And I'm really looking forward to the next episode. And I hope you guys are, and I hope our listeners are too.
Yeah.
Yes. Brilliant.
Yeah. See you all in the next episode.
Yeah. See you on next episode.
See you soon.
Cheers.
Bye.